Just start then. So my name's Chris McFadden, and I made a little vortex fountain here, as you can see. It's supposed to overflow, so don't get alarmed. It just kind of falls into the rock.
Oh.
Yeah, so my initial design was to make this kind of hidden compartment wood art. That kind of didn't work out. It was going to be too expensive, upwards of like $100 for materials and 30 plus hours in the wood shop, which I just really didn't have time for with new design. And the skill level with that kind of work, I wasn't too sure I could get there and make it look as polished as I wanted to with the aesthetic I was going for. It would have been cool. It wasn't sort of kinetic per se. It would have moved, slid down, so I guess that was a little bit kinetic, but I felt like this was a little bit more kinetic. Yeah, so a little less technically difficult too. I went back to the drawing board and found these kind of fountains that I thought were pretty cool. Lots of them are like really big in like people's gardens, upwards of like 5 feet in diameter. Wasn't gonna go that big, so I kind of settled on something to put on my desk at work, something cool to kind of show off and at least have people look at. I was in flow visualization, so I wanted to kind of incorporate something like that. So I settled on using the water feature and having it do a vortex. It's actually an anti-Coriolis effect vortex, so it goes clockwise instead of counterclockwise, since we're in the northern hemisphere. So you won't see that kind of vortex unless it's forced in the northern hemisphere.
It's easy to
So,
force.
yeah, it's easy to force. It's easy to overcome that one rotation per 24 hours. But anyway, I was kind of going for a soothing, low noise water feature, so I needed to find a very low power, low noise pump, which I found is just using a 80 gallons per minute fish pump. So basically, it's basically just a big pot with a basin that elevates the tank, if you want to call it that, above the reservoir. And then there's a, actually, that's the next slide, there's a better picture of that. But basically it came out to $35 for materials. You needed a drill, some scissors, and a hot glue gun for equipment, and pretty much all cheap stuff that I got at the hardware store, bought off Amazon, so nothing too fancy. So if you can see here, there's a 90-degree pipe joint that's connected to this tube that forces the vortex around the sides of the tank and creates that spinning effect. And then there's a center hole here that drains the water through the middle, which causes it to have that vortex. And then, yeah, it overflows, and this basin has a bunch of holes poked in here to get the water to drip down once it overflows, and just covered with the rocks. That's basically operation. You guys saw that. Slowly fills up to the top and then starts to overflow. The pump is adjustable, and I've tried to get it kind of in a sweet spot where it doesn't overflow, but I kind of like it. It goes into the rocks and gives a little bit more of a feature to it. It kind of gives that nice noise of flowing water. So additional things I would add to in the future would be, I was thinking about adding LED lights to light up the water. I thought that might be kind of cool. And you could see it at night. I was also thinking of maybe putting like a fog machine underneath here that could possibly have fog come up the spout of the tornado and come out the top. I'm not sure if that would really work, but it would be worth a try. As well as maybe adding some color to the water to give it more flow visualization of what's happening inside the tank. aesthetic is kind of more of a minimalist, rustic kind of feel. This is like a rust-colored bronze pot that I found online. I kind of like the minimalist idea, and gives a kind of zen feel to it. Lessons learned were to make the basin a little bit sturdier. I initially used only one plastic tray, and the weight of the rocks and the water made it kind of tip to the side, and it's hard to lift up afterwards. So I added another basin under there to kind of make it sturdier, as well as added some hot glue around the corners to kind of keep it in place and not shift from side to side. The other thing was to make it more level. The pot, I think, is just not super level, and the tank isn't either, so it only kind of spills out on this side.
Can you show us what it looks like if it's not?
Oh yeah, it's just a little off. I had it better before, where the spillage would kind of go around, or all along the top of it. So I might just add some leveling feet on the bottom or something like that to kind of even it out.
I've also seen them where it kind of goes uniformly all the way around.
Right, yeah, and I think that's just because the water's spinning, so it won't usually go all the way over.
Well, some, like the.
Yeah, on the other picture, it looked like it was. That might just be the surface finish on the top edge.
Ooh, you could manipulate that.
Yeah, so that might be something to try. But yeah, I'm not really sure, because you can see it's kind of got a little surface tension. So I actually added before some fabric softener to lower the surface tension of the water.
Yeah.
And it got a little bit better for spillage on the top, as well as it fell through the bottom hole better. So yeah, tried a couple of different things. Other than that, yeah, that's about it. Thank you. Any questions?
It's a really minor thing just because it functions well, but are the little like tiny bubbles in it, do you think that's just like because did you use tap water for it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah.
Yeah,
I was gonna say maybe if you use like
or...
the jugged water, it might be a little clearer or something, I don't know, but that's
Yeah.
such a minor thing, yeah.
Or if you leave it in there over time, it will degas.
How much water is actually in there?
Without it running, it's about filled up to right about there. So just below the basin, since this is about, I forget what it was, 10 or 8 cups of water, something like that, 5 cups of water. So once it pushes up into here, you need enough for the submersible pump to